Hello everybody, ALBER here. Today we're going to explore all the ways in which the Elektron Model samples can be used as a polyphonic instrument. In my opinion, one of the biggest limitations of this amazing box is the lack of polyphony, which with only 6 tracks available can feel a little limiting. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the workarounds I've found to go around this limitation, and I'm going to talk about internal polyphony and MIDI polyphony as well, since I've found a couple interesting ways the model samples can be used as a MIDI controller. Like anything else in the Elektron Model series, everything you will see in this video can be applied to the model cycles as well. Let's get into it. Okay, so starting from polyphony with internal sounds, I'm going to do maybe the most obvious thing, which is to have multiple tracks set with the same sample or machine if you are using the model cycles. So let's see. I have here selected a single cycle waveform. We can choose any one we like. Let's go with this one. Select it. Let's go out. Let's change a couple of parameters. A little delay, a little reverb. Okay, now what we can do to copy exactly all the parameters we have on this track, we can push track and record, and it's gonna copy the track sound. Now, if you use the Digitect or any other Elektron device, you will be familiar with the concept of sound, and you can just go out there and check it out. But pretty much, in short, a sound would be a memory of a sample plus all the sound design options applied to it. So you have already something ready to use rather than the raw sample to work with. So anyway, this is the only instance the writing sound, this label comes out in the entire machine. Anyway, we've copied it, so now we go on track 5. We have this little thing. Let's overwrite it, and we're gonna go track and stop. It's gonna paste it. So now, see, paste track 5 sound. Exactly the same thing. Let's do the same deal for track number 4. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. We got all 3 of them. Now, let's change the pad sound on each one of these pads 4, 5, and 6. So we're gonna hit function and track. You can see here the little pad menu. Let's do a nice funky chord. I don't know. Let's do A. Already sounds great. Let's do something strange. A, G. Ooh. And let's make this a nice 9th chord. Just put it a B. A, G. Yeah, sounds pretty good to me. Now, the obvious limitation here is that we're eating up tracks, so pretty much we already have 4, 5, and 6 eaten up by this beautiful thing we just made, but we only have 1, 2, 3 left to play with drums. One nice thing about this is that you have individual control over each voice, but obviously, yes, taking space to work on your drums, that can be a difficulty, but there's workarounds about that, sample locks being the most obvious of them. Method number 2 is another internal workaround involving the onboard delay effect. I really like the internal effects on the model samples, and I find this delay particularly useful, especially because the delay time is always tied to the BPM of your beat. A delay is an old trick to bring polyphony to monophonic machines, and you can really be precise here with its timing. The timing table is available on the manual. Now, I have this little sound on track 6, and I wrote a little sequence for it like this. So it doesn't sound like much, I just put a note for each beat, but let's set the delay time to 32. It's already set there. So this is gonna give us a delay that's gonna hit exactly 1 beat after the original sound, okay? So it's always tied to the beat, which is very useful. Now let's run this. Let me gradually get some delay in here. Yeah, can you hear? The chord is opening up. Now if I move the delay time, still sounds cool. Obviously it sounds more like, okay, you're using delay in here. But it's different than having something like this where it actually sounds more harmonic in nature. All right. So yeah, this trick is also obviously limited because it's up to you to decide in which way you would like certain sounds to resonate and other sounds to not resonate. We're obviously using a single track, so the way in which you can use your device in a polyphonic way, it's also here somewhat limited. But obviously all we're talking about here is workarounds, right? You can even, if you want, combine the previous trick with this one to have delay going on 2 tracks simultaneously that have the same sample going. So you can be pretty creative with it. Okay, let's look now at polyphony while using the model samples as an external MIDI sequencer. Before upgrading to the Digitech, I've used the model samples as the brain of my DAW setup for live performances, and once again, I had to deal with a 6 tracks limitation for the entirety of the set. I use a lot of chordal writing in my music, so the #1 priority for me is to find ways to have chords being sequenced externally on a single track. I will be sequencing now on the Volca FM, which in my opinion is the model sample's best little friend. And this has been my device to be used together with the model samples for quite some time now, because with this little workaround that I'm going to show you, I can place up to 3 individual trigs in the same moment, and happens that the Volca FM also has a 3-note limit polyphony. So let's start over with this. We have this little patch in here on the Volca FM going on track 6, and let's just write a simple note over here. Let's say that I'd like to have a nice chord sounding on beat 9. So this is obviously just a single note, and we want to add 2 more to it to be sounding exactly at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another trig here, trig number 8, and I'm going to nudge it all the way here to the right in this direction. So the nudge function is actually very handy that way, because if you nudge a trig all the way to the right or all the way to the left, you pretty much are positioning it in the previous or following trig's position. So that can be pretty useful in a variety of situations. Right now, let's say, let me change the pitch of this one. Let's see, not this way, this way. Okay, we got a nice minor triad going in here. Now let's do the same with trig number 10. Let's place it all the way to the left, and let's change the pitch of it. Let's do a nice A minor chord. Right, so now we can obviously have fun with the individual length. Let's give it some length. Oh, can you hear? The nice thing about this method is that you have individual control over every note. And let's say we want to give the central note less velocity. There we go. So something nice about this method is that we can also decide if we want to give this chord kind of like a rolled quality. We can play with the amount of nudge we're putting on the outer trigs, so we can have something sounding like this. Yeah, So it's obviously still a workaround, but as always, you can get creative with it, and you can fit up to 3 notes at the same time on a single track. And if you don't care about these notes sounding exactly at the same time, you can just place as many trigs as you want, as many as your external device allows you to play polyphonically. Okay, so the last method I found is honestly more of a happy accident thing rather than an actual polyphony method, but I think it's still very cool and worth mentioning. So when you use the model samples as an external sequencer, one thing that you have that other Elektron machines don't necessarily have is the possibility to use the assigned sample to that track, the internal sample, together with the sequencing you're doing. So in this case, I have the Volca FM sounding here on track number 6, and I still have a loaded sample in it. I just chose a single cycle waveform in here. So if I bring up the volume of the track, the internal volume, I can combine these two sounds, right? So the results can be pretty interesting. You can really get crazy with this, and just let me show you a couple of examples. Alright guys, I hope this video gave you some new ideas on how to work with your model samples or model cycles. I hear a lot of criticism when it comes to these two little boxes, but honestly, I think they offer some quite unique tools that even other pricier Elektron products don't have. All the music I've used for this video is available for you to listen to, so check out the links in the description if you want to hear more. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if you'd like me to talk about other topics related to these amazing boxes. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Until next time, ALBER's out.